Welcome back to Frequency Writer, Color the Magic, and Whole Soul Mastery. I'm Marie Mohler, and I'm an author and an intuitive and the cosmic messenger of living an inspired, rich, authentic, and empowered life. These messages are here to empower you in your ascension journey. And I want to thank you for joining me today. We're going to delve into the energies of August. We're also about to round the corner into September, October, November, and December 2024, the final quarter of this year. We can expect a great deal of change because this planet is being flooded with the frequencies of ascensionary change. And I want to thank you for stepping deeper and deeper and deeper into your epic hero's journey, your epic ascension avatar's journey. And we're going to talk about some topics related to that journey and what many of us may resonate with and that we're all going through, and then give you some tools and some awareness and some songs that can help empower you and inspire you in the journey to continue to answer the call to this grand adventure called ascension, right? In this decade of ascension, we are all called to rise in our conscious awareness, to face the foes of our past, of our karmic contracts, and even the deep shadow karmic debris that's inside all of us, because this is a time of integration. So I want to thank you for joining me. Let's take a look at that big picture of you and some other messages that I have prepared for you today. So here we are, and we have this lengthy title that you might see on the screen for those watching the video. We're going to talk about refusing the call after people receive the call to adventure. One of the next stages is the opportunity to refuse the call. Now, that's not often recommended when the invitation has been given, but some people entertain the idea of refusing the call or attempt to avoid that call. And we can see that in our own personal lives, right? We might be experiencing that. We might see family members attempting to avoid that call, refuse that call. We're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about accessing the Lionsgate 2024, those energies of strength and courage and boldness and clear soul sight. We're going to talk about embracing our innate ability to keep moving forward, to keep persevering, to keep rising, and to continue to grow. We're also going to talk about remembering our abilities as quantum creators. And then we're also going to talk about tapping into soul-inspired music. And I happen to have some new soul song inspirations for you towards the end of this video. So stick with me and prepare to be inspired. So here we are in the big picture review. And I've said many times before, and I'm going to say it again today, we are living in epic times where the call to adventure has never rung quite so loudly or so pervasively, right? Some still cannot hear its chimes. Amazingly, many do. And so I want to spotlight how change is unfolding every day, every way, as the new divine timeline and the God realm emerges to replace this old, failing, and mostly defunct and decrepit 3D matrix and paradigm. Many of you are witnessing this. Remember, witnessing the darkness and empowering the light. But part of that witnessing process is becoming aware or continuing to be aware that change is unfolding on every level, right? A spiritual battle continues to play on. While God's ultimate victory is already assured, I don't know if you're necessarily feeling that. I do have conversations with people who are not so sure that it's assured. It's all a matter of vibration. It's all a matter of that clear soul sight, or whether it's not so clear. It's all a matter of where you are in the journey right now. So for some people, God's ultimate victory is not assured, that the light has not won, and that we're just waiting for the echo of the victory to manifest in events and things unfolding on the planet where the whole world knows it's true. But regardless of whether everybody around us knows that God's ultimate victory is already assured, we can be aware that there is this spiritual battle playing on, and there are movies that are playing out simultaneously right now in that spiritual battle on many news stations or in the media or, in print. However, people are experiencing what we used to call news in the old world. Many of us know that a lot of that news is a movie playing on with actors and characters and NPCs and clones, even playing their roles and parts for the world to eventually awaken to the truth that this 3D matrix has been and always was a grand illusion. And for people who don't know a whole lot about clones, I'm sure there are other people talking about this. I saw a video clip that some friends shared with me this past week of Maria Bartiromo on Fox News talking about AI and generative AI. And they actually had a person and their clone in the interview, showing to us that this is not only indeed possible, but it's already happening. So take that into your consideration as we watch the crumbling of an old world happening simultaneously as the new one is emerging. And there's a lot more to uncover, and that's a conversation for another day. Whether I'll have that on Color the Magic, I don't know. But we know that there's a lot of the press that's given to AI, the press that's given to the changes in the banking system and the financial world. We have to sort of pay attention to the source of that information and then use our own discernment and use the power of our own perceptions and our ability to seek the truth and keep digging and digging until we find the truth, right? That some people believe that all AI is bad and all banking systems are bad or all CBDCs are bad. There's lots of topics coming up in those news cycles in the layers of the movies playing out. And each of us gets to discern, each of us gets to feel into what we resonate with, what we don't resonate with. But as this spiritual battle plays on, I'm just going to continue to talk about there's layers of theater playing out. There's layers of films and movie footage playing out on all aspects of the media. And we get to really tune in and say, where is my ultimate news source? In my view and in my world, it comes from within. In my world, the news that I need to be hearing the clearest, the most, the deepest is coming from source itself. And that is something that's a relationship, that's a connection that we cultivate inside ourselves. So let's just review. We're talking about living in epic times. We're talking about some people don't hear the chimes of the call to adventure. Some do and some don't still, right? The change is unfolding in every way in our lives, that a spiritual battle is still playing out, that God's victory is ultimately assured, but we're still in this in-between time so that we're seeing multiple layers of movies play out one on top of the other. And it can seem a little bit insane. It can seem a bit crazy. It can seem still polarizing. There can be a lot of duality showing up. You can have a lot of judgments going on. People can be confused. People can still be overwhelmed. But when we use the power of our conscious breathing and we take a deep conscious breath, we can actually, in that moment, step outside of linear time and get some perspective standing next to source at that precipice of quantum co-creation. That's something that we've talked about extensively on this channel. It's in many of the videos if you want to go back into the archives, and actually also go on into the blog on frequencywriter.com. And here's the question. If we are stepping up out of, and if we are awakening from the grand illusion, who will step up to see that truth? Who will rise to activate and claim their 2020 clear soul sight? We are in 2024. We are almost to the midpoint of this decade that's going to come very quickly, right? That 2020 clear soul sight was not just a message for the year 2020. It's for this whole decade, and it's probably for the rest of our physical journeys here on the planet. So let's feel into that. We could take a deep conscious breath for a moment and remember all those messages about how we can empower and access our 2020 clear soul sight. Conscious breathing is an essential partner to the clear soul sight. Without the conscious breathing and breathing in that divine prana, we could be breathing in the smog of the 3D matrix and believing ourselves to have clear soul sight, that 2020 clear soul sight, that God vision that we've spoken about in many of the messages and many of the marinades messages, right? To see the truth, the true truth, the capital T, God's truth, we have to be breathing God's prana. We have to be opening and activating our clear soul sight. We likely need to be answering this call to adventure that's coming from inside you, from your soul itself, from your higher self, whatever name you give that. And here we are. The willingness to awaken from the illusion is one of the grandest adventures that any human being in these times can embrace. And once awake, will each hero of this grand ascension journey continue to accept the invitations to become who we truly are? Or will he or she try to refuse the call, even perhaps attempt to go back to sleep, to stick their head in the sand and pretend it's not happening? I think that that's a pretty difficult thing to accomplish with the level of energy permeating this planet directly from source and the heartbeat of creation. But some people may try. I mean, the option is there at this stage to still be refusing the call. The alternative is true. People could become willing to embrace the call and step into the unknown and step into this new level of creationary power that's been dormant as long as we've been complying with the old matrix. So, this is going to be one of our main topics today for August 2024 as humanity takes a turn towards the final quarter of 2024. By the time I leave my next message, we will be entering September 2024. And we know in the United States, at the very least, we're in an election cycle. Whether in the movies that are playing out, we will actually have elections. There's a lot of things that need to be revealed and a lot of things need to play out. What used to be something that most people in certainly in the United States, for instance, would take for granted and say, well, there will always be elections. You're right. There have always been elections since the United States of America was originally formed. I don't think we can take anything for granted. I think when you accept the call to adventure, when we step into this ascension journey, when we have this willingness to wake up from the grandest illusion ever, there's a possibility for change on any level, in any direction, at any time. So, this is one of the questions that we're all answering. Will we turn into the call? Will we embrace the call? Or will we attempt to refuse it, or turn away from it, or deny it, or in some way try to avoid it, right? I don't think that's possible. It seems like everything is moving us into a new frequency, a new level of consciousness, a new level of existence, and a new level of thriving in a God creation, right? Because we are clearing away the old 3D matrix that was the illusion, the chaotic, confusing, corrupt, all those words that can describe the old 3D matrix filled with propaganda and conditioning and mind control and all of those things, and subservience and enslavement. All of those practices of the 3D matrix that were part of this grand illusion, all of that is falling away, which means we are experiencing a great deal of change and layers of change, and movies reporting that change. And there's truth also amidst that sea of confusion. And so those who accept the call to adventure are also stepping into the path of seeking truth with a capital T and seeking union with source at a whole other level. So, with that said, let's talk about this new segment I have, Can We Talk? And we've been talking about whole iceberg living. And I want to ask you, how is that call to adventure going for you? To allow in your conscious awareness in your daily life that it's time for the whole iceberg of you, not just the tip of the iceberg, not just the stuff that you want people to see or you allow yourself to know about yourself, but all the depths of everything inside you as well, the shadow aspects, the karmic debris, the amazing gifts and talents that you have that you came through time to bring through time for this time. All of that is whole iceberg living. So I want to ask that again. How is that call to adventure going for you, right? How is it going for all of us as a collective? That's also another question. I'm not so convinced that the whole world has embraced the call to ascension and the call to adventure yet, but more things are unfolding in the layers of the D class and the layers of the awakening and the disclosures and the revelations. And there's going to be a collective whole iceberg living that needs to be rising, right? And there's a personal or an individual experience of whole iceberg living. And that's something we want to maybe be reflecting on, especially as we take this turn into the final quarter of 2024. How are you faring monitoring your perceptions? We talked about perceptions last time, right? And how are you doing with choosing well what you want to experience through the power of directing and managing your perceptions to create the life you do most desire? I have a podcast with Terry Cole Whitaker that I'm about to release in the next week or so, and another one with Dr. Paul Panzica. I know with Dr. Terry, we were talking about the power of words to be a portal to create your reality, right? And that's also true of the power of perceptions and your vibrations to be a portal that creates your reality, right? And this is so important. Like, how are we engaging and directing and creating with our frequencies to manifest the life experiences we want to be living? In a world that's going through so much change, it's going to be so important to be a conscious creator versus an unconscious creator. That's the difference, where people have the power to respond versus feeling kind of chaotic and out of control and reacting. This also can determine your ascensionary experience in this call to adventure timeline. So, as we move into September, October, November, and December 2024, we're going to need the strength, the boldness, and the clear soul sight of lion flowing through the Lion's Gate energies of the 888 portal, right? This month, we've crossed through that amazing portal. I think many of us felt like a surge of energy around that time. There were definitely plenty of storms here on the East Coast. I'm not quite sure what it's been like where you are. We've had tons of rain. I know other areas of the US, at least, have had fire, and other parts of the world are experiencing all kinds of different weather patterns. But here's the thing, that Lionsgate portal affected all of us, and we can be journeying with the boldness of that strength. I actually went to my website, frequencywriter.com. I also went to Color the Magic on YouTube, and I searched lion, and I wanted to see how many messages come up about these Lionsgate portals over the years and the harbingers that are here for these times to help awaken our soul skills and the power inside us. And we can borrow from the Lion's Gate frequencies. We can borrow from that lion harbinger who is here to show us the majestic nature of who we really are. If we will step into that boldness, that's another invitation in the call to adventure, to be who we really are and to access our soul power. And then when we are accessing the power of the 888 Lionsgate this year, can we store up those frequencies in our awareness? I'm intending so, right? Can we store those energies of boldness and strength and resilience and being stealth and clear soul sighted and partnering with source, right? In all of the ways that lion energies do, right? That's like a Christed frequency, the lion. Can we store up those energies and drink them in, and almost like a prepping effort, right? To make sure that we've got, like, that's part of the armor of God within us, that strength. So I'm, for one, am calling that into myself. Can we store those frequencies in our awareness, kind of like a battery for these times, right? We will need it in our reserves for the stamina required of all of us in the remaining months of this year, as we journey through some more epic changes and through this epic decade, right? From 2020 to 2030, probably onwards to 2040. It's a 10 to 20-year process to change an entire planet in consciousness, in systems, in finances, in medicines and ways of healing, right? And well-being, returning and restoring this planet to its original divine blueprint and its original divine shine. It's going to take a little time to flip this world upside down. And yet, God, creator, source, has the ability to even flip time so that what we are experiencing may not take what we used to experience 20 years to be or 10 years to be. It may not happen as slowly as you might think, like, oh my gosh, a whole decade still, or a whole couple of decades, or 5 more years, whatever you might think time is. In a blink of an eye, source, creator, can shift everything so that we're already in that new timeline. So I, for one, want to sort of store that battery power of the Lionsgate energy of the 888 portal. And I'm just planting the seed that you might want to consider doing this for yourself as well, if it resonates. So with that said, with all those changes and all that vibrational soup still stirred up on the planet, we can be still and calm and strong and breathing in union with source, right? While all of that changes, we can be agents of change. We can be quantum creators and agents of change with source instead of being victims of the change that many people who have not embraced this call to adventure, who have not embraced seeking truth at this level with a capital T, who've not been interested in going into the layers of lies and deception and the grand illusion to uncover the truth that everything is actually flipping inside out now, right? But as many of us on a video like this are aware of, systems around the world are shifting. Systems of finance and medicine and education and family and media, government, even elections, of course, on all levels, everything is changing. You name it, that system is getting upgraded and transformed into the new frequencies of the new dimensional realm that we're all moving into in this new fifth dimensional earth and higher. Everything is getting an upgrade. Everything. That includes your body, and your own energy fields and systems are being upgraded too in every single way. So, again, the question for all of us is, if everything is changing and nothing can stop the ascension from unfolding, nothing can stop the truth from unfolding, nothing can stop the revelations being unveiled, nothing can stop the new systems, the new financial systems, the new healing systems, the new thriving systems, and quantum technology systems of the future that are moving very quickly into our now. How are we showing up to meet it? How are we showing up to meet those changes? Are we answering the call to rise, or are we refusing it? This is the topic of our conversation here at the end of August 2024 that I think is going to be relevant in the coming months through the end of this year. Okay, with that said, I have 3 quotes from Joseph Campbell because these are the themes that I'm working with right now. Because that hero's journey, that epic avatar's journey, this ascension journey, it is calling out some otherworldly soul skills and multidimensional inspiration and multidimensional fortification. And I'm borrowing from all of the realms to bring these messages to you. So, this first one from Joseph Campbell says, life, in both its knowing and its doing, has become today a free fall, so to say, into the next minute, into the future. So that, whereas formerly those not wishing to hazard the adventure of an individual life could rest within the pale of a comfortably guaranteed social order, today all the walls have burst. It is not left to us to choose to hazard the adventure of an unprecedented life. Adventure is upon us like a tidal wave. Even if that's a lot of words in that particular quote from Joseph Campbell, what I believe he's saying is that everything is changing. That feeling of multidimensional free falling, like the systems that used to hold things together and create order out of the chaos, right? We thought those systems were giving us order. They were actually just enslaving us, right? So we are kind of free falling out of the old systems that once enslaved us, but we can choose to enter into the call to adventure, right? And allow this adventure that is upon us, that is sweeping over us like a tidal wave. I mean, Joseph Campbell's essentially saying it is unavoidable. People can do their very best to avoid the changes happening even now, right? This hero's journey is universal messages and themes, whether it was 500 years ago or it's now today. And Joseph Campbell just gave us a language for what had been going on in the universal human experience for forever, right? But I want to point out that this is a very powerful quote from Joseph Campbell if you feel the energy of it, because I think the 3D systems, as they crumble and fail, it may feel like it's a free fall. Chicken Little kind of comes to mind, right? That the sky could be falling according to some people's perceptions. If you will simply turn into the adventure, into the call to adventure, and you accept that call to adventure, it doesn't feel quite so much like a tidal wave sweeping you up where you're a victim of that experience. You actually become the creator of that experience. So important and so powerful. Okay, this next quote says, the call to adventure is the point in a person's life when they are first given notice that everything is going to change, whether they know it or not. Isn't that relevant to our experiences right now? Many people on this planet are still completely unaware of the level and scope and breadth and depth of the iceberg of planetary change that's happening. They don't have to know that things on this scale are changing, they just are changing. But this call to adventure in our ascension journeys right now, in my opinion, is the point in our lives, those aware when they are given notice, they're first given notice that everything is changing. Many of us have been hearing that call for some time. That's not new for many of you listening to a video like this. But I think it's important to review that we don't just go through one hero's journey story arc, we go through many. So you may already have been on a hero's journey arc, that ascension arc. Maybe for some people, a lot of people, it was in 2020 during the COVID fiasco, right? And that was an experience of activation. You might think, oh, thank God I came through that experience. That's just one story arc. There were many story arcs before then in your journey, and there's many hero story arcs as you move forward. And so I think it's a good time to be reviewing because we go on these story arcs again and again and again to go on the next adventure and to go collect the next level of lessons and to evolve spiritually and in our consciousness and bringing forth the power of our soul skills so we can truly embody being the multidimensional, amazing, epic avatars that we came to be at this time. God is counting on God's warriors for these times. And many of you listening to a video like this and going through these changes on the Color the Magic channel and even in my blogs through Frequency Writer, I'm bringing through messages still just in a different form, right? We're all changing. My messages will continue to change over time, as will your soul skills, as will your calls to the adventure and how you're going to participate in this. I think we need to become super agile with how we are going to meet the changes in the challenges before us on a personal level and as a human collective, right? But I love these insights and these quotes from Joseph Campbell that reinforce and that affirm and validate every hero who has accepted the call to adventure, who's been on at least one or two or three story arcs, right? We know we're in one now. This ascension journey, this entire decade through, and in these times of epic planetary change, we are in a hero's journey story arc of a lifetime, or perhaps the biggest one of all of our lifetimes, right? So, so powerful. And this last quote from Joseph Campbell states, often in actual life and not infrequently in myths and popular tales, we encounter the dull case of the call unanswered, for it is always possible to turn the ear to other interests. Can we still get distracted? Are we all being called to step onto this epic ascensionary journey and this epic hero's journey that we're all summoned to on the planet right now? Every sentient soul is invited to the call to adventure, right? To enter into this ascensionary journey and to participate and to activate our light and the light codes within us and the skills that we have. But Joseph Campbell is saying often in actual life, and it's not so infrequently, we enter the dull case of the call unanswered, and that can be the refused call. And we know people around us. We might have been some of those people. Maybe some people listening to that say, well, that was me. That was me until a week ago. That was me until 5 years ago. Whatever it was, if you're listening to a video like this, chances are you have heard some call because you are listening to some out of the box messages. You are hearing me talk about our multidimensionality as if it's like normal everyday language. I think it is going to become very normal everyday language to talk about multiple dimensions and layers of perception and vibrational realities and time space travel and time travel. And let's just shorten that time travel, right? Our multidimensionality is awakening. This is a huge part of the call to adventure. And so I find it exciting, even though we know the people who step onto the hero's journey, we don't exactly know how it's going to go. But we are prepared with the inward skills and our connection with source and that inner GPS system that we all have and our intuition. We have all the soul skills that we need to answer this call. People who feel unprepared to answer these calls in these times as of yet, because the invitations are still going out, And I don't think people can avoid the call too much longer. But the call unanswered is a thing. It's a thing. And Joseph Campbell names it. And then we're going to review some of that a little bit more today. So I leave these next two slides in the slideshow just so that I have anybody new can have the reference point, and anybody who's been listening the last couple times will just have a slight review. But the hero's journey parable, especially the phrases and the stages coined by Joseph Campbell, popularized by Joseph Campbell, can be put into three distinct stages. Okay, there's the initiation, there's the journey, and there's the return. And inside the initiation, there's several stages. But in that stage, the hero learns to navigate an unfamiliar world of adventure. The hero may be dissatisfied with the ordinary and express a desire for adventure. And the herald brings a call to adventure, prompting the hero to leave the known world behind, leave what's familiar, right? So it's such a powerful stage, that initiation, the initiation of the invitation of the call to adventure. Then we enter that middle stage called the journey. That's the next phase. And it encapsulates where the hero crosses the first threshold, making a conscious decision to embark on the adventure. The hero faces tests, meets allies and enemies, and undergoes trials and ordeals. The hero may receive magical tchotchkes or supernatural aid to aid in their journey. The hero approaches a deep cave or a point of no return, marking a turning point in their journey. That's very significant in that middle phase. And then there's the return. The hero refuses to return to the ordinary world, instead choosing to seize the boon or the reward. The hero may face a final test or confrontation before returning home. The hero crosses the return threshold, bringing back the boon or reward to their community. And then the hero's journey is complete and they have been transformed by their experiences, right? So those are the three stages that the parable of the hero's journey can be broken down to. And then there's sub stages within them. And then I'll just name the 12 stages, right? Or the 12 stages of the hero's journey. And then we're going to focus on the third one. So, number one, the ordinary world. Number two, the call to adventure. Number three, refusal of the call. Number four, meeting the mentor. Five, crossing the threshold. Six, tests allies and enemies. Seven, approach to the inmost cave. Eight, the ordeal. Nine, the reward, seizing the sword. 10, the road back. 11, the resurrection. 12, return with the elixir. So here we are focusing on the refusal of the call. And that is where initially, the hero may resist or deny the call to adventure, fearing the unknown or the risks involved. And really also that often dovetails with that is a tendency to want to cling to what's familiar. Even if they're living something in their life that is really unpleasant, many people will cling to the unpleasantness they know for fear of worse unpleasantness that they don't know. The refusal of the call often is many of those circumstances, but it's often where the hero resists, avoids, or denies the call to adventure that they are receiving, but they sort of bury their head in the sand about it. Okay, and in this step three or stage three of the hero's journey, the refusal of the call, I found a website today that really had a great explanation of this refusal of the call. And I wanted to give credit to this website because we're going to look at some screenshots that I captured on their website. And the site is called yourheroicjourney.com. And I think they've been spotlighting the hero's journey for a while. It seems like that is exactly what that website is devoted to. So this article by Reg Harris is called The Hero's Journey, Evoking the Shadow Journey. And this topic is resistance is not refusal. So I'm going to read some insights from this particular article on the website, Your Heroic Journey, because it says the denial and the resistance to the call are important steps in the journey of the hero. They demand an inner decision. And I can't even really pronounce the name of that person, maybe Friedman Weiland, The Journey of the Hero. Okay. So it's interesting. This is the point that does demand an inner decision. Some people are still sleeping and avoiding that call. But when the call to adventure has been delivered, I do think ultimately there is a decision point. And so the author Reg Harris goes on to say most discussions of Campbell's monomyth present the call refused as a normal stage in all journeys. They explain that the hero first rejects the call before making the decision to take the journey. However, this interpretation is inaccurate, so this author says, and we need to make an important distinction. Rejecting the call temporarily is not the same as refusing the call completely. That is kind of an important distinction. In The Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell makes the point that not all heroes refuse the call. He writes, often in actual life and not infrequently in myths and popular tales, we encounter the dull case of the call unanswered, for it is always possible to turn the ear to other interests. Right? Simply put, often is not always. That's interesting because we just spotlighted that quote a few minutes ago. Wavering or hesitating is part of every journey. I think many of us can relate to that, right? It doesn't necessarily mean if we waver or hesitate that we're refusing. When initiates face the exit threshold, the gateway to the unknown, they begin to consider the risks and dangers that they are going to face. This threshold resistance forces the initiates to understand and commit to the transformation ahead. As Jungian psychologist Friedman Weiland writes in The Journey of the Hero, the denial and the resistance to the call are important steps in the journey of the hero. They demand an inner decision. Threshold resistance is not a refusal and is better symbolized by the threshold guardian. I believe Dr. Paul Panzica, who in this recent podcast that I'm going to post very soon, talks about threshold guardians. I should cover more of these topics with him. So it's when initiates cannot overcome this initial resistance and turn away from the quest that we encounter the call refused. We are dealing with two levels of rejection: the temporary hesitation that is part of every journey, and the complete rejection that we find in some journeys, or the call refused. And here, this author will focus on the call refused. So I think seems like an important distinction that a hesitation is not a full rejection, right? Then this article continues on. Refusal is essentially a refusal to give up what one takes to be one's own interest. That is a quote from Joseph Campbell that he puts in the article. In truth, the refusal of the call is not really a stage in the journey. It's an exit from the journey into a shadow journey. It's a rejection of our need to grow and adapt. As Campbell explains in Hero, refusal is essentially a refusal to give up what one takes to be one's own interest. The future is regarded not in terms of an unremitting series of deaths and rebirths, but as though one's present system of ideals, virtues, goals, and advantages were to be fixed and made secure. In other words, when we refuse the call, we're denying the natural flow of life's energy, he's saying. The natural process in which one stage of life dies to make room for another, more enlightened stage. Refusal occurs most often when we are clinging to our ego, our comfortable self-image, and the perspectives, beliefs, and behaviors that sustain it. However, clinging to our ego and denying or repressing life's transformational energy can lead to serious problems because that unexpressed psychic energy just doesn't just disappear. In The Call to Adventure, Gestalt psychologist Paul Ribelow explains, I'm not quite sure if I'm pronouncing that name properly, but any undischarged energy held in the body too long becomes poisonous, and the process of self-victimization begins. As the cycle continues, the pattern intensifies, turning poisonous, almost murderous. We become victims of our own controls. That's powerful. Campbell recognized this danger, writing that refusing the call converts the adventure into its negative. In the shadow journey, experiences that would have offered growth and liberation and freedom on a whole other level, basically, right, become threats to our ego. They remind us that by refusing the call, we have sabotaged our future to protect our present of what is the familiar, right? We have solved the problem by sacrificing our potentials. That's powerful. How many people do we know in our own lives right now who may be living this out, who are sacrificing their potential because they're trying to solve the problem of the uncomfortable, chaotic now, right? They're afraid of what they don't know in the future, and they're clinging to what's familiar, even if very soon there's going to be nothing to hold on to. They have sacrificed perhaps a bigger expansion that they will need to transcend these times. It's so powerful, the story of the hero's journey. I find it incredibly relevant. So I've got two or three more slides that talk about this hero's journey, this refusal of the call from Reg Harris, the author of this article. The walls that protect also imprison. So there's another quote here. The subject loses the power of significant affirmative action and becomes a victim to be saved. That's Joseph Campbell, who must write that in The Hero with a Thousand Faces, one of the books he's most known for. So living in the shadow journey is threatening and painful. So to protect our ego, we build defenses and try to avoid responsibility for our circumstances. We build a protective labyrinth of rationalizations, excuses, and delusions. Eventually, however, the wall we build to keep painful reminders out becomes a prison that keeps us in. Right? Then our world contracts. We've talked about that myopic vision for so long here on this channel. And Campbell tells us, walled in boredom, hard work, or culture, the subject loses the power of significant affirmative action and becomes the victim to be saved. His flowering world becomes a wasteland, and his life feels meaningless. All he can do is create new problems for himself and await the gradual approach of his disintegration. That's kind of grim, that perspective from Joseph Campbell. To understand the dire nature of refusing the call, simply consider how the lives famous heroes would have changed had they refused the call. For example, what would have happened to Odysseus had he not honored his oath to protect Helen? Could he have lived with himself after he broke his code of honor? Would his people have respected him? How would Harry Potter have felt if he had rejected his invitation to go to Hogwarts, knowing that greater life called him, but he refused? I mean, we can all think about a lot of these characters. There's How to Train Your Dragon character. What if he didn't answer the call to be different than everybody else in that realm? What about Luke Skywalker, right, in Star Wars and answering the call? There's so many ways that this shows up in many, many, many of our stories. Here we are. Both Odysseus and Harry Potter would eventually have fallen into bitterness and regret. They might have spun a web of rationalizations in an attempt to protect their egos and self-respect, but eventually they would have locked themselves into the shadow journey of the call refused. That's their own incarceration, and then they become a victim of it, right? The walls that protect also imprison. That's a core phrase here in this article. It's very well written. And then we have this next insight here. Not all who hesitate are lost. Here's another quote they post from Joseph Campbell from The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Sometimes the predicament of following an obstinate refusal of the call proves to be the occasion of a providential revelation of some unsuspected principle of release. That's a lot of insights right there, just in that one sentence. Fortunately, even when we refuse the call, the author writes, our situation may not be completely lost. In Hero, Campbell tells us that if we are lucky, a person or an event will appear and help us to face our fears, giving us another opportunity to restore vitality and flow to our lives. Ironically, our own resistance may bring about this opportunity for our salvation. The problem we created for ourselves by refusing the call may trigger a situation or an insight that will change our perspective, our perceptions, right? And open us to the journey we need. And then the author goes on to say, should we ignore this second call, however, we could slide irrevocably into the darkness of the call refused, a world of bitterness, frustration, anger, regret, and isolation. Without help, self-destruction, physical or psychological, could result. Whatever house that he who has refused the call builds, it will be a house of death, a labyrinth of cyclopean walls to hide from him his minotaur. All he can do is create new problems for himself and await the gradual approach of his disintegration. We'd read that before in this same article. So it's very powerful. People are creating their lives and what their experiences in every way. And for people who feel boxed in and caged in, is there a call to adventure that we didn't heed, that we didn't answer, that we refused, that we didn't just hesitate, but we turned away from? We are all called to reflect on right now. Just tune in. Have there been calls to adventure that you have turned away from, that you hesitated about, that you just kind of went around or skated around or avoided in some way. And my people might think that they do it successfully, but I think those are calls of the soul to access our greater potential, these bigger lessons, this greater expansion. And this is really powerful. And they are saying in this article, based on the work of Joseph Campbell, that if we do ignore the second call that's coming around after we hesitated and it comes around and finds us again, we could slide irrevocably into the darkness of the call refused, a world of bitterness, frustration, anger, regret, and isolation. Do we see any of that in our own lives? It's good to have a mini review of that. But also, do we see that in the world around us? Are there people who are bitter, chronically frustrated, ongoingly angry, that that's their only emotion that they can access? It feels like something that they're not saying yes to, this future pull, this higher self trying to lead them forward, and they're not opening those doors. And I think when we don't answer the calls, and I don't think it's just one call in a lifetime. I think there's multiple calls that have found us already in our lifetimes thus far, definitely in other lifetimes as well. But there's new invitations to this call to adventure in the ascension journey and these planetary shifts. And this is how I'm relating the hero's journey to the messages that I'm bringing through for you, right? And to empower you in your ascension journey, because I think it gives us a language to really give ourselves permission to accept that call. But of course, the stage that I'm spotlighting right now is about the refusal of the call. So this is the final thoughts that this author wrote in this article. How do we learn from the refusal? In the call refused, our fears, guilt, and limited perspective assume control of our life. If we allow this to happen, we face a future filled with defensiveness, bitterness, and isolation, and anger, and all those other things that have already been described. However, if we can understand the shadow journey, its causes, and its dangers, we can expand our perspective and better navigate the challenges we will face as we work to realize our potentials. And then this person decides to close the article with the words of Friedman Weiland from The Journey of the Hero. It is a difficult task to follow one's inner calling. As long as there is the possibility of avoiding it, a person might refuse to go. But even if he continued to live as if nothing had happened, it is as if his spiritual and emotional center of gravity has already moved into a new world. A chain of signs and experiences keep reminding him until one day the hero goes on his way. It is only then that a person comes in contact again with his own center. So people can slow down that decision, that inner decision they have to make about this. Will I answer the call? Am I going to avoid the call? Right? They can try to avoid it. They can turn away from it. They can try and snuff it out. They can try and go around it. All the different ways that people try and refuse this call. But it will keep, in my experience, patiently and persistently inviting him and reminding him or her until one day there's just a point in time that that soul, that hero, goes on their way, right? And when we say yes eventually to that call or to another call that gets us back on the path, we do make contact again with our own potential and our own center. And that, to me, is the truth of the journeys now on the planet, that everybody has the opportunity to listen to the invitations to this call to adventure, this hero's journey of epic proportions, this multidimensional journey that's really going on for most of us, or for all of us, really. And that some of us are in the stages of still trying to avoid it and refuse it and deny it. Some are in the middle of, like, they've said yes, but they're still hesitant. And some are like all in, right? And there's probably different stages and ways of approaching this on that whole spectrum of experience of answering the call. But we will still go through kind of those identifiable stages that Joseph Campbell nicely outlined for the world, that are universal lessons and stages of our personal growth. And then let me bring it back around to remind myself and to remind you as well that we don't just go on one story arc, we go on many. So you might feel like, I've already been through storms. I've already faced the unexpected. I've already faced the dragon. I've already, faced lack and scarcity, or I've already faced whatever challenge that you might have had in your path. And there's more story arcs, because creation is always expanding itself. We are always expanding ourselves as souls. And right now, I think the greatest challenge, the greatest invitation to adventure is to allow our consciousness to rise. And if we're rising in our frequencies and in our consciousness, that also means that all that shadow material inside us needs to be faced and dealt with and released too. So we're all somewhere in this journey right now. There's quantum change and shifts going on all around us, but not just around us, it's also happening within us. And with that said, I thank you for joining me in this review of Refusal of the Call. And I would be curious to hear if any of this resonates for you. Please, please, I invite you to make a comment on Substack if that's where you're viewing this video, or make a comment on YouTube or any of the social media platforms where you'll be viewing this. And I'm curious if people have insights or other things they want to share about it. And with that said, I'm going to review a few songs that I put together to, again, empower you in your ascension journey. It's the hero's journey. It's the brave, epic avatar's journey. It's the journey of our times, which is it's just beyond language at this point. But songs and soul songs can inspire us. And I'm finding when there's not much on, I listen to lots of different things, but when I really want to go higher vibe, I'm putting on my playlist that I have put together on Color the Magic. And so you can go under the Color the Magic playlist on my channel there, and you can play and you can shuffle all the songs that I'm creating here with the help of this Suno platform to generate topics and the mood and the vibe of the songs. And then AI is helping to co-create these songs with me. So the first song is called Answer the Call. So let's have a listen to that.
Hear the winds, they whisper low, calling you the path to show. Yet you turn and say, I know, comfort lies where I can go. Voices shout within your soul, break the chains, achieve the goal. Still you lean on what you know, fear within begins to grow. Answer the call, hear it loud, rise above the shadow cloud. In your heart the trumpets call, step forth, bravely stand up tall. Adventure calls with gleaming eyes, journey forth beneath the skies. Yet you cling to what you see, tears of live inside the sea. Feel the power within you rise, winds of change they never lie. Take the leap for wings and fly, in the courage find your why. Answer the call, hear it loud, rise above the shadow cloud. In your heart the trumpets call, step forth, bravely stand up tall. Answer the call, hear it loud, rise above the shadow cloud. In your heart the trumpets call, step forth, bravely stand up tall. Answer the call, hear it loud, rise above the shadowed cloud. In your heart the trumpets call, step forth, bravely stand up tall.
It's a beautiful song, isn't it? Answer the Call. I wanted to say that song goes out to my friend Patrick. He nudged me to create a little bit of a Celtic vibe, and that was one of my first attempts. I have one other song that will have that melodic energy to it. So I just want to say, Patrick, that one's for you. And there's a second one coming up. So the next song is called Rise Beyond Limits. I think that's also what we feel when we're talking about the hero's journey, when we're talking about this call to adventure, when we're talking about leaving behind what is known, which includes all the corruption and the deception and the illusion of the 3D matrix, right? If we're leaving an entire grand illusion behind, that really is talking about leaving the ordinary world, leaving the familiar of the systems that have enslaved us. So I like the energy of the song. There's a number of songs coming up that have rise in their titles, and this next one is called Rise Beyond Limits. So feel these frequencies.
Hold your head high, reach for the sky. In the storm we stand together, hand in hand. Grounded in the fight, darkness turns to light. We rise every time, our spirit in its prime. Rise beyond the limits, we are stronger than the storm. Unity and strength, our hearts, they'll keep us warm. A hero's journey starts with love within our hearts. Together we will thrive, in freedom we come alive. Make the world better, united in the quest. With divine protection, we rise and give our best. Strong leadership shines, we conquer all the lines. Grounded but we soar, together we want more. Rise beyond the limits, we are stronger than the storm. Unity and strength, our hearts, they'll keep us warm. A hero's journey starts with love within our hearts. Together we will thrive, in freedom we come alive. Make the world better, united in the quest. With divine protection, we rise and give our best.
So that's a really powerful song, that Rise Beyond Limits. It's such like a, it's a songful affirmation. It's a very inspiring. It like calls up our inner power inside us to answer the call, to step into this journey and to keep going in the journey, right? Because the call to adventure is just one of the first or second stages of the journey, right? So we need to continue to fortify ourselves to keep taking those next steps, to keep moving forward in this ascension journey, and to do it with strength and with conscious breathing, with the soul skills that we've talked about a lot on this channel. I like this. Rise beyond limits. We are stronger than the storm. There are going to continue to be storms on all different levels as we go through these changes on the planet and these systems fail, but the new systems emerge in their place. There's a glorious new world, right? A glorious new earth that is summoning all of us to explore it, to discover the truth of the capital T, the blessings and the greatness of what is in store in creation for us as we rise out of the illusion. But we have to step forward and keep moving forward to answer the call. We are stronger than the storms. We can rise beyond the limits. And that often is our own fears. That often is our egos that are attempting to refuse the call and stay small, right? No, let's rise beyond limits. Okay, this next song is called Rise and Shine.
Feel the beat rising, and our hearts is thriving. New earth on the horizon, dreams we're realizing. Leave the darkness behind, empower the light. underneath the open sky. Living future starting now. No more asking why. Leave the darkness behind. Empower the light we'll find. The choice is within our mind. Take action, dream big, shine. Together we will rise. Lift our spirits to the skies. We'll embrace every try. New beginnings, no goodbyes. Leave the darkness behind. Empower the light we'll find. The choice is within our mind. Take action, dream big, shine.
I love the lyrics of that one, Rise and Shine. They're talking about new earth on the horizon. Vibration keeps us high underneath the open sky. Living future starting now. It's a living frequency. It's inviting us forward. It's part of that call to adventure. It's a pulse. It's a whisper. It's a song that's calling us to engage the bigger aspects of our potentials now, right? And then I love that take action. Dream big, shine, right? That's definitely the call to adventure is a call to action. It is a call to action for sure. So the next one is rise together. There's this theme of rising, right? So rise together is the next song.
Golden dawn breaks, silver sky awakes. Pieces on earth, we're giving birth. New system we see, quantum harmony. Tokens of light, a future so bright. Rise together now, empowered we vow. Healing with songs, righting the wrongs. Global we stand, hand in hand. Digital streams, fueling our dreams. We the people rise, stars in our eyes. This hour's call, one and all. Rise together now, empowered we vow. Healing with songs, righting the wrongs. Hand in hand, digital streams, fueling our dreams. We the people rise, stars in our eyes. It's ours call, one in our dreams. Rise together now, empowered we vow. Healing with songs, righting the wrongs.
Such a beautiful song, that Rise Together. I believe when I created that song, I had Nasara and Jasara in mind. And so I don't know if you are familiar with that, but for those that are, That was a song about flipping the tables, the changing systems, the elimination of debt, and many of the principles that, whether it's called Nasara Jasara in the future, that I believe is part of what is rolling out now in the layers of change that we're all experiencing. So, that quantum harmony, we the people rise, stars in our eyes, right? There's energies of peace on earth, that quantum harmony, so many powerful frequencies and energies in that song. Okay, the next one is Rise with the Sun.
Freedom is calling, boldly and flowing, thriving and rising out of the shadows. Step out of darkness, rise with the sun. Embrace your gifts now, you're the chosen one. Color the magic, feel the power inside. Know your truth is stronger than any illusion's right. Your dreams are growing, nothing can hold you. The world's awaiting to see the real you. When fear is crawling, you stand up tall. Inside you're glowing, break down every wall. Color the magic, feel the power inside. Know your truth is stronger than any illusion's right. Nothing can hold you, the world's awaiting to see the real you. When fear is crawling, you stand up tall. Inside you're glowing, break down every wall. Color the magic, feel the power inside. Know your truth is stronger than any illusion's right. Your dreams are growing, nothing can hold you. The world's awaiting to see the real you, The illusion's right. Then any illusion's right. Then any illusion's right. When fear is crawling, you stand up tall. Inside you're glowing, break down every wall.
That is a powerful song for these times. That's exactly the song. It's like a theme song for our heroes' journeys, right? Rise with the sun. I love these lyrics. Color the magic, feel the power inside. We're calling up our innate divine, sacred divine power, which is bigger than the contracted sense of 3D matrixy power that we might have been living with or feeling like we even lacked that. This is a time to step into your expansiveness, right? And it says, when fear is crawling, you stand up tall. And then I love this, know your truth is stronger than any illusion's ride, right? Know your truth is stronger than any illusion at this point, right? And if the illusion is what is familiar, no wonder a lot of people are clinging to it, right? Because that's the ordinary world that a lot of people aren't ready to let go of because they're just not willing to step into something better because they'd rather cling to what they know than allow in the possibility of something that is unknown, right? That's when we want to stand up tall, when fear is crawling, when the opportunity to refuse the call is there. We want to stand up tall. We want to color the magic. We want to feel the power inside. And we want to know the truth is stronger than any illusion. Okay, this last song does not have rise in it. It's called Roar of the Heart. It is definitely keeping those vibrations of the 888 Lionsgate journeying with you in this song. Again, calling up those energies of lion, that majestic nature inside you, the strength, the boldness, the shining, right? The leadership, the clear soul sight, the stealth nature of lion. Okay, let's listen to Roar of the Heart.
Truth to the stars. Fear fades in shadows. Bold step into light. Path calls your name. Truth seeks your soul. Witness strength rise. Eyes on the goal. Rise up, rise higher. Bring your gifts, stand tall. Fear now is silence. Courage conquers all. In a fire burning, heartbeats loud and proud. Faith fuels the journey. No doubts in the crowd. Empower the flame, feel the heat inside. Courage unashamed, wings of faith spread wide. Rise up, rise higher. Bring your gifts, stand tall. Fear now is silence. Courage conquers all. Loud and proud. Faith fuels the journey. No doubts in the crowd. Empower the flame. Feel the heat inside. Courage unashamed. Wings of faith spread wide. Rise up, rise higher. Bring your gifts, stand tall. Fear now is silence. Courage conquers all.
That's a beautiful song, Roar of the Heart, in August 2024, to follow up after the Lionsgate songs that we had in the last video. I really love that energy of courage conquers all. Bring your gifts, stand tall. Faith fuels the journey, right? Wings of faith spread wide. I think it was Dr. Terry Cole Whitaker in a podcast in the last year where she talked about faith is the fuel of manifestation. And the Lionsgate portal is that boldness of faith, that boldness of uniting with Source, that Christ consciousness energy that pours through that Lionsgate frequency and pours through that Lion Harbinger, right? So very, very powerful. I hope you like that song, Roar of the Heart. I've got 2 more songs left. This next one is a different frequency. It's all about nature's symphony.
Whispers on the breeze touch my soul with ease. Earth beneath my feet, in this place we meet. Sunlight warms my face, ancient spirits trace. Fire within us burns, in every life it turns. Elements align, soul connection walk with grace in harmony's embrace. Water flows so pure, life's eternal cure. Air around us sings with each breath it brings. Reverent we stand, honoring this land. Gifts from earth so grand, under sky's wide hand. Sunlight warms my face, ancient spirits trace. Fire within us burns, in every life it turns. Elements align, soul connection shine. In nature we find mastery in time. Animal spirits guide, mountains standing wide. Heroes walk with grace in harmony's embrace. Animal spirits guide, mountains standing wide. Heroes walk with grace in harmony's embrace. Elements align, soul connection shine. In nature we find mastery in time. Animal spirits guide, mountains standing wide. Heroes walk with grace in harmony's embrace. Harmony's embrace. Harmony's embrace. Water flows so pure, life's eternal cure. Air around us sings with each breath it brings. Reverent we stand, honoring this land. Gifts from earth so grand, under sky's wide hand.
I love that song, Nature's Symphony, that Celtic melodic energy and frequency of connecting with the earth, the elementals. And it's also, to me, a song that's a portal into new earth. It's a portal into these higher vibrational frequencies of where humanity and this planet are moving and ascending into. So while we also have all these songs about rising and courage and standing tall and facing fear and answering the call, all those things, we have Nature's Symphony that's inviting us into this portal into the future of connecting with the earth in this eternal balance and state of harmony, connecting with the animals. I love these lyrics. Elements align, soul connections shine. In nature, we find mastery in time. This connection with the earth and with ourselves and with the core of creation and source energy itself, right? This is this mastery. It's our whole soul mastery. That is a beautiful song. And that Celtic energy, that goes out to you, Patrick, because it was your suggestion that helped me to bring it through. Okay, and this last one is another version of Color the Magic. I still haven't found my Color the Magic theme song for my musical, but I'm playing around with it, and I'll keep sharing a color the magic song in every video I make until I find the one. And when I do, I'll let you all know. So this song is Color the Magic, another version.
Fly
That's another powerful one. It's a whole different energy than the other Color the Magic song, but this is a theme song for our times, for the ascension times, right? Color the Magic. I love these lyrics. Thriving in motion, rising with the sun, step out of darkness into light begun, right? And there's the world's dimness fading, creativity true. Express your vision, sing your heartfelt song, color the music, freedom's calling you. This is true for all of us. This new earth is calling builders, artists, teachers, leaders, manifestors, magic makers, dreamers, everything you name it. But it requires a higher frequency. It requires this inner answering of the call. And that answering the call is not once and done. There are many stages to the hero's journey. We do face allies, tests, and enemies, right? We do face our deeper, darker shadows. We do face our fears. This is all part of the ascension journey, but we can't bring the lower density energies or frequencies or karmic contracts with us. All of that must be cleared away. So I invite people to listen to these songs on the playlist. I think with these 8 songs today, it should make about 22 songs and counting. I'm going to keep going. I'm enjoying making them. I'm enjoying bringing them through for you. That's kind of like the lion, that Leo spirit inside me. I'm an August birthday. So I'm going to continue to lead with music and lead with magic and lead with inspiration. At the same time, I know that people are witnessing and experiencing squeezes and challenges and stress and overwhelm. I think we're going to experience a deep dose of that overwhelm in these times. And I also believe and know that we're going to be experiencing this new prana flowing in, this new abundance finding us. If people will focus on the new earth and these higher dimensional frequencies in this new dimension, this God timeline, we're returning to the garden. If we would focus on the garden, if we would empower the light, it's a lot easier to simply witness the darkness, but not get mired in it. Okay, and so with all of that beautiful music, with all the messages about the hero's journey, with the insights about the refusal of the call, to at least know what are the patterns, what are the behaviors, what does that look like if somebody tries to refuse the call? We can look around our world and see a lot of those behaviors and a lot of those patterns still unfolding in a lot of people, in a lot of communities, in a large part of the world still at this point. But the courageous, brave, epic avatars who are stepping up to go on these heroes' journeys, to step into the ascension journey, and to do it consciously and to do it willingly with the fortification of music and magic and conscious breathing and all of the soul skills we've talked about. Here's the question. How is it going, your hero's journey, that is, right? How is it going? It's just good to reflect. How is your hero's journey going? And thus, how is it going as you rise to embrace whole iceberg living? How is that going? That's a big part of the hero's journey right now, right? Maybe Joseph Campbell wouldn't have called it that. But to me, when we go on the hero's journey, we know this much, we're leaving the ordinary world, but there's a whole lot of self-discovery beneath the water, right? So how is that going as you go on the hero's journey and embrace that whole iceberg of revelations going on inside you in these times? There is a glorious new earth emerging. Many of you watching this and listening to this are knowing that. Maybe it's with your inner vision, your inner eyes, your clear soul sight, messages, intuition, whatever it is that's nature, you're feeling this shift of the ages. It's more and more palpable to me. I wonder if it's more and more palpable to you. And then in those shifts of the ages, there's challenges that we're here to transcend into simply changes, right? Changes don't have to be challenges. They're just challenges until we can raise our perceptions and our frequencies higher to access more clear soul sight and God vision to embrace the entire iceberg of our lives right now. And so that we don't lose in the illusion anymore, That is what is leaving. That's the grand exit that's taking place. The matrix is dematerializing, the 3D matrix that is, and God's true timeline. We want to win in God's true timeline, God's true creation. And we do that through conscious breathing, through accessing the prana, listening to conscious music. We may need more, new earth music. Suno is there for other people to create with if anybody feels called. And I'm going to continue to create music from the vibrations and the energies that I'm called to bring forth. But we're also called to be authentic and to reclaim our talents and our gifts. Our strength comes in being who we are and to stop denying who we are. We have so much power and so much brilliance and resplendence that wants to emerge forth in us. But when we're playing small and we're only looking through this myopic vision, right, we want this whole soul vision. We want this new earth vision to be guiding us, this God vision inside us. And this is that time of integration. I'm going through a tremendous amount of change. A lot of people I know are going through a great deal of change. The music will keep changing, right? As I feel like the different calls of the themes that we need to be fortified with. And, like I said, there will be this nice playlist for people who resonate anyway to put that on. You can shuffle and you can have a whole mix of songs that is so beautiful. It's a great way to start your day, in my opinion. I've been starting my day with it. So with that said, I want to thank you. You can join me and you can subscribe at frequencywriter.com. You can check out my film trailer, Freeing an Incarcerated World. There's powerful stories just in that 15-minute trailer. You can join my Substack page at frequencywriter.substack.com. This is my primary source of communicating with you going forward through a blog, videos, songs, and miscellaneous inspirations. I'll also post the podcast that I'm doing. So think of it this way, a frequency writer is like the archive of all my blog messages and all those channeled messages over the years, those inspirations, those frequency writings. Let's call them frequency writings. Then Substack begins when the new music comes in, when the change of format comes in, and you can find everything that I'm doing from basically July, August 2024 going forward. So visit with me there at Substack, subscribe there, leave comments, and I invite you to subscribe at Color the Magic on YouTube. You can find me at Marie Mohler or Frequency Writer, Whole Soul Mastery, and other social media platforms. I invite you to visit with us at Whole Soul School and Foundation. Consider making a donation to this humanitarian project. It's still just in its seedling stages, but I assure you it's going to grow. And you can visit and find Whole Soul School and Foundation and me, Marie Mohler, or Frequency Writer, Whole Soul Mastery on Rumble and Twitter and Facebook and True Social and Telegram and on Spotify as well, and on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and all those kinds of audio streaming platforms. If you'd like to hear more about sound money, what I call God's money, what many people call God's money, and options for you to access this, send me an email at frequencywriter@gmail.com and let's connect. And I want to thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing these messages with people who need these messages or who would resonate with these messages. And thanks for visiting with me today until the end. And I will see you again soon for more inspirational podcasts, messages, and musings. I invite you to look for a new podcast with Dr. Terry Cole Whitaker and I talking about mantras and affirmations and words as portals to realities. And also you can look for a podcast with Dr. Paul Panzica, where we're talking about a whole gamut of things, but he's so brilliant in his explanations that also talked about that threshold guardian. So that will come in here soon. So keep an eye out for that. And I just want to invite you to remember the call to adventure, the call to your own hero's journey. You might know that you are well within it. You're in another story arc of it. And I just send lots of courage and showers of light your way. And kudos to you for embracing these opportunities to expand and grow into the greater exponential of your divine potential. And remember that together we rise. And I'll see you again in another couple of weeks for another message from Color the Magic and these other streaming platforms where you find my messages. Blessings, everyone.